Hi, I'm Greg Schaefer, and welcome to the virtual CISO Moment Infosec wrap up for Friday, January 13th, 2023. I'm trying a few things new today. I'm trying a different studio platform. I'm trying a live stream to YouTube. I'm using a teleprompter software, which isn't really working right. So I'm going to scroll through it manually. So this is a test, and hopefully it's going to all work out well. Those of you who will be listening to this on the podcast after it's published over Anchor and Spotify, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about if you're just listening and not actually seeing the video. But anyway, trying something different. It's always good to try things and to take risks, and especially with this being live right now, we'll see how it works out. Anyway, we'll just jump right in. From the Daily Mail, the FAA flight grounding. Remember that? The whole debacle that happened a couple of days ago, stranded tens of thousands for hours and paralyzed the nation. Apparently, that was caused by just one employee who replaced the wrong file. You'll recall that on Wednesday, more than 11,300 flights were delayed or canceled Wednesday morning after the FAA system. This is the NOTAM, Notice to Airmen. I guess they've changed it now to be Notice to Air Missions, but me as a pilot, I always remember it as Notice to Airmen. Anyway, this canceled flights Wednesday morning after that meltdown created the grounding order. This system basically gives pilots information prior to flying. So it wasn't as if it was impacting folks that are already in the air or anything like that. It's just for flight awareness when you're preparing to go fly. Apparently, lingering effects were still around from yesterday. Whenever you have a big shutdown, then it takes a couple of days sometimes for the airlines to recover from that. Now, according to the article, an engineer replaced one file with another. An official told ABC News, not realizing the mistake was being made. Ultimately, that caused the system to show problems and then fail. And that engineer has yet to be identified. Now, some quickly jumped to the conclusion that this was a cyber attack, including, I remember seeing one Twitter user who said that a pilot expert told them, not a cyber expert, but a pilot expert told them that they had conclusive proof that was the case of a cyber attack. There's a real danger to jumping to conclusions about any incidents. Of course, we need to take proper investigation to ensure that what happened to reveal the cause and therefore determine remediation actions. From my perspective, it looks like that maybe there was a change management and or implementation process breakdown. Hopefully we'll learn more in the upcoming weeks. And as one LinkedIn poster said in response to when I posted this earlier today, quote, "Things are not looking good when a single engineer has the ability to crash an entire enterprise system." Next up, details have emerged about a now patched vulnerability in Google Chrome and Chromium-based browsers that, if this is successfully exploited, could have made it possible to siphon files containing confidential data. This is according to an article that came out this morning in the Hacker News. Apparently, the browser doesn't properly check if the symlink was pointing to a location that was not intended to be accessible. This allows for the theft of sensitive files. Now, Google characterized this medium severity issue, CVE 2022-3656, as a case of insufficient data validation in file system and released fixes for it in versions 107 and 108 that were released in October and November of this past year. So if you're not up to date on your Chromium browsers, you'll want to remedy that. Do you use Citrix in your environment? Well, you'll want to know this from CSO. At Bay Cyber Research Team believes the Royal Ransomware Group is actively exploiting critical Citrix system security flaw CVE 2022-27510. That allows for the potential bypass of authentication measures on two Citrix products, the application delivery controller and the gateway. Now, businesses that are using any of these affected Citrix products, and there is a list in the article, are urged to patch the vulnerable software and follow the mitigation methods that are recommended by Citrix. The article also has a link to those mitigation methods. Are you looking to expand your cybersecurity skill set? Well, check this thing out that I just came across right before starting the podcast. From Tech Republic, explore information security with 97% off this huge course bundle. Now, I'm not endorsing this, but I did find this interesting enough to actually try to order this. I don't know if my order went through. It hung on the commerce portion of the checkout, and I'll have to check out the checkout after this recording. But anyway, the complete information security certification bundle includes 81 hours of training covering a variety of technologies and taking you towards the CISSP certification. This included training is worth a total of $1,150 according to Tech Republic, but you can get it today for just $31 with this special deal from the Tech Republic Academy. So some more details. 652 individual tutorials. Through these, you'll learn how to upgrade your website with NGINX, deploy apps more efficiently with Docker, and manage your data better, data better with Splunk. You also get an introduction to security and cloud computing with full AWS certified solutions architect training, along with the tracks on ethical hacking and info security. And this bundle apparently provides full prep for the certified cloud security professional certification. I think they said CISSP before, but I don't know if it covers both of them or parts of both or what have you. Again, this is very interesting. I don't know if I'm going to find the time to go through 652 tutorials, but for $31, I thought it was definitely worth a try. Then I now have today's top 10 list. As you know, I like doing the top 10 on a regular basis. It started with the predictions back in late 2022, and I still like going through a top 10 of if it's a title of an article that seems interesting. What I'll do is that I'll save that, but I won't read it until I'm actually recording the podcast, or in this case, I'm also live streaming. Although I guess I don't think I'm seeing anybody right now, so this is pretty good. I didn't promote it, so I don't. It could also be that it's not working. But anyway, so this comes from the Secure blog from Christian Espinosa, and it is the top 10 penetration testing decision factors. And he also notes in the beginning of this article that 55% of all small and mid-sized businesses have suffered a cyber attack. So let's go ahead and go through this right now. I'm just repositioning my screen. Number one, use certified and experienced personnel. He's saying that they should have some credentials behind them. ECSA, that's the EC Council Certified Security Analyst, Licensed Penetration Tester, Offensive Security Certified Professional, that's the OSCP, or Certified Ethical Hacker. And I agree with this because they definitely need to know what they're doing, because they're going to be working on your live network. And you also want to make sure that you get what you pay for. I mentioned before on the podcast that I was working with one group that they were showing me their penetration test, and it wasn't a penetration test. It was a vulnerability scan that didn't pick up anything. And so they said that they conducted this over a period of a couple of days. Obviously, it was a period of a couple of seconds because the test didn't reveal anything. But anyway, you have to make sure that the folks that are running your penetration test know what they're doing, not only so that you get the right result that you paid for, but also so that they don't inadvertently cause serious issues to your operation or to the security of your information. Number two, deliver clear reports with risk-based prioritized recommendations. And I agree here. You know, you have to write these reports for the audience in mind, and this is not going to necessarily be going to a technical audience. You need to create these reports that the C-suite and the board of directors can understand. So don't get overly technical, distill it down. You can have references to technical folks in there, technical aspects. And he goes on to say any steps taken into an exploit system should include screenshots where applicable. So again, you want to make sure that you have, I think what he's getting to here is that you need to show exactly what methods that you took in order to get to the information that you got. It actually, to quote from number two, the first line, Reports should be easy to understand and include summary data for executives, the C-suite, and detailed data for the technical personnel, those who will actually be doing the remediations. Number 3, perform both manual and automated testing. And he's noting that automated tools do not detect all vulnerabilities and are prone to false positives. Yeah, you need to have any group that says that they have a penetration test and it doesn't involve any sort of manual involvement. No matter how good AI gets, I know that that's all the rage right now, but you have to have that human element, and the human element has to be able to understand the business environment and also understand the um, the threat environment as well. And he even mentions here what I had just talked about. Many penetration testing organizations run automated tools, such as an automated vulnerability scanning tool, and then try to pass that off as a penetration test. You have to know the difference between the two. And unfortunately, there are unscrupulous folks out there that tend not to do that. Number 4, follow a documented process. Now, this is going to be good in case there's any sort of liability involved. He mentions that a document process ensures completeness, accuracy, and test repeatability as well. Agree with that. Number 5, also, this will touch on liability. Use a rules of engagement document for clear expectations. So this just makes sure that everybody is on the same page with regards to parameters about the test. So times for the test, escalation procedures, targets and scope, targets out of scope, and limitations. And this document, he notes, should be signed by you and the pen testing vendor, because this way there's not going to be any sort of finger pointing one way or the other. Number 6, communicate clearly and frequently. This should include when penetration testing begins and ends, what's being tested, whether any critical findings were discovered, any problems, and so on. Yeah, that makes sense. Number 7, demonstrate professionalism and respect. And this kind of gets to, we'll be talking about soft skills in a way for the last article, but he mentions that the penetration testing team should remember the focus of the test is to help you secure your environment, not provide an environment for them to practice skills or to try out new exploits. Yes, very good. Number 8, identify and eliminate false positive. Yeah, because when you produce the report, even to the technical folks, they may not understand that some of these are false positives. You have to make sure that you remove all of the noise from the report and make it as succinct and directed as possible, because ultimately the organization needs to know what to do to better secure their network. Number 9, offer retest options. This is good too, because then it gives the organization the ability and the opportunity to fix the issues that they found and therefore validate if the same pen tester comes back in and runs the exact same sequence of events because they kept very good records about what they do, then that will be able to show whether or not the organization's remediation efforts were in fact effective or not. And then finally, and probably most importantly, protect your data during and after the test. The penetration testing team should follow a documented process to ensure your data remains secure. Now, I think this would be part of the agreement as well, too, whether or not you actually want to go forward, capture the flag, be able to show that you've been able to exfiltrate information. Typically, when I've engaged penetration testers, I just want them to show that they would be able to exfiltrate the information, not actually do it themselves, because that introduces a whole new point of liability. And that's it for the top 10 for that. Our last article for today, Tech Native notes in an article from December why soft skills are key to filling the digital talent gap. You might wonder why I'm looking back in an article from December. Well, it's because this came up in my feed, and I thought this is actually quite timely, and I'll explain why in just a moment. According to the article, what they are crying out for today are people with softer aptitudes, from interpersonal skills to creativity and problem solving, dependability, and critical thinking, together with the ability to apply these to future digital challenges. Of course, technical skills are needed, but the value of soft skills cannot be overstated. Again, according to the article, they note from LinkedIn's 2019 Global Talent Trends Report that found that in almost 9 out of 10 cases, or 89%, where a new hire hadn't been able to integrate into the business, it was due to a lack of soft skills. You know, I totally agree with that, and that's why I chose this article because myself and my firm, we're in the middle of recruiting for a new position that soft skills are going to be critically important. It it is a lower position that's going to involve not only some training aspects, and it's also going to involve a lot of client interaction. So I think that soft skills, as they talk about here, as far as being able to apply critical thinking to issues, as opposed to just maybe following a standard flow chart or checklist, are going to be very important. I think that sometimes, particularly in some areas of cyber, maybe we get so focused on just our little silo that we are not really aware, or don't want to be aware maybe, of the entire environment outside of it. In any case, soft skills are also, when we get back to the learning courses I talked about in the beginning of the podcast, they are very valuable with regards to teamwork. And this is one of the reasons why, too, that kind of like, I'm going off on a tangent here. I do that sometimes. But there's a shift now for the return to working at the office. Now, this position specifically that we're recruiting for, we are requiring it to be in the office. And the reason is because in this particular case, we feel that the trainability and the interaction is going to be critical in order to really learn what they need to learn, and to be as effective as they can. I'm not against working remote, but when you really are spooling up in particular, I think that it's critical to not be remote. Not in all cases, but certainly in this one. Well, that's it for today. I do have a special invite. Usually on Fridays, I record the next Tuesday video, and the person who was scheduled to fill the slot today was not able to make it. And now I have an episode on Tuesday where I don't have anybody to fill. So, my invite to you is that if you are interested in being a guest on the video portion of the podcast, if you've watched it, you know the standard format. I'll ask about your background. We'll talk about some issues with regards to small and mid-sized businesses. We'll usually then spider out into all sorts of conversations, 15 to 25 minutes tops. If you're interested, give me a holler, because I'd love to record with you on Monday. I know that sometimes people are hesitant to take such a risk, and just on a whim. I think that taking risks are a good thing, actually. And I promise I'll be nice. But if I'm not able to get anyone, that's okay as well too. I'm not sure what I'm going to do Tuesday. I might do an opine episode, or I might just take it off. Take the day off, because this is an awful lot of work. So I hope you have a great weekend. I'll be back on Monday. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a video and a live stream on Monday for the quick strike, but I will be back in one way, shape, or form for the quick strike. I hope you have a great weekend, and until then, stay secure.